Welcome to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast, episode 90.
Welcome to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast with your host, Jack Mountain Bushcraft School founder and Master Main Guide, Tim Smith.
I'm your host, Tim Smith. I'm a registered Master Main Guide and have been a full-time outdoor instructor and guide since founding the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School in 1999. We help people become more skilled, more knowledgeable, more experienced, and more confident in the natural world through our bushcraft and guide training semester programs and multi-week canoe and snowshoe expeditions. You can check out the show notes to all of our podcasts at blog.jackmtn.com. If you're interested in learning more about our college-accredited and GI Bill-approved programs, visit the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School on the web at jackmtn.com. And check out our online network and digital learning academy at bushcraftschool.com. Hello, and welcome back to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast. Christopher and Tim in the Guide Shack. Thursday, July 2nd, the last day of the spring 2020 Wilderness Guide Training semester, which is also long-term program number 49 that we've run over the last 21 years. It's hot.
It's gross.
It's summer. There's more bugs around than you could count. Then there are stars in the sky. Yeah. How about that?
Well, to that, last night, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say like 500,000 fireflies in the field last night. It was absolutely beautiful to see.
Stunningly beautiful.
Stunningly beautiful.
Not all bugs are bad bugs.
No, but the deer flies are bad bugs.
The deer flies, the no-see-ums, the black flies,
yeah,
the mosquitoes. I think we're nearing the end of black fly season.
Yep. I said deer fly, and my dog, who's sitting under the table while we record this, put her hands over her eyes. She's not a fan.
Or her paws.
Nope. Hands. Paws would be more accurate, I suppose.
We've got 3 new Journeyman certificate holders.
Yep. And Riverman.
We've got 3 new Level 2 Riverman certificate holders. So hats off to those guys.
Yeah, they worked hard.
David B and Jesse, congratulations. It's quite an accomplishment, and that's kind of what we want to talk about today, is why it's hard.
Yeah, it's a super challenging thing to go through. Everybody, when we start it, we always recommend everybody starts trying for it, and then usually in the first 3 weeks, people start to say, this isn't really what I wanted to get out of it, and then you have a few that just push the whole time to get stuff done, and that's how we like it.
So in order to successfully complete the Journeyman certification, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of academic work. It's a lot of crafting work. It's a lot of benchmarks with regards to cooking, with regards to friction fires. It's doable in the 9 weeks, but it's challenging, and you could probably take a day off, but you can't really take multiple days off and still expect to complete all of the things that you have to do in order to achieve that standard. And that's by design. When we started coming up with the idea of having our own in-house certifications that would hopefully be respected beyond the 4 walls of the Guide Shack, it was, let's figure something out that's going to be really challenging but doable. And in order to come up with something like that, we had to be okay with the idea that not everyone can achieve it.
Yeah.
And not everyone will achieve it. So we had 2 tracks to go down. We had the sort of social promotion track where everybody achieves it, everybody gets a trophy, and it's just sort of saying that you were here on the course. And we decided, no, we didn't want to do that. We wanted to make something that was super challenging, that someone had to really work hard and apply themselves to achieve.
Yeah, everybody that comes up here at the beginning of the course always sort of feels like they want to get into this industry and do it. And we are always looking for sort of people that maybe we'd want to work with in the future, whether here at Jack Mountain or at whatever program they start. And the Journeyman for us is a really good indicator of somebody that has sort of grit to keep working at it. And that, yeah, it's a great indicator for us of that, I think.
But again, it's hard.
Yeah.
And that's why I think less than 30% of people on our
If
long-term
that.
courses achieve the journeyman cert.
Yeah. It's a lot, and it isn't just like a physical thing. There's a lot of like academic stuff that goes into it. It's a really well-rounded certification that requires a lot of work in different sort of veins, and that I think that isn't what people expect often in this world. And so it takes a lot of work physically, and then a lot of hours in the library doing studies and stuff like that.
Yeah, but just want to reiterate that it's hard, right? It's hard on the body. It's hard on the mind. It's hard on the hands, to pick a specific part of the body. People often ask, hey, what can I do to prepare to come up and be successful on a long-term course at Jack Mountain? And, we're always quick to tell them, hey, this isn't like it's not an Ironman competition where we're doing huge endurance stuff. It's not like a bodybuilding competition where we're trying to get your max bench press, but it's hard physical work day in, day out. So it's more of a grueling slog than a sprint or something like that. But I think the biggest body part that people have trouble with around here is the hands. It's hard on the hands. So if you've spent the last 10 years working in an office, typing away on a keyboard, or, really anything that's not kind of manual laborish, it's a big slap in the face when you're using your hands every day to carve, to swing axes. And it takes their toll. We had a guy a couple years ago get pretty bad carpal tunnel syndrome as a result, because he went from not using his hands, for a big period of his life to using them every day. And it just, the things we hear from students, you remember the guy a couple years ago, he woke up and, my hands are numb again, and his hands would be numb in the morning. And,
Anthony.
Yeah. I knew his name, I just didn't want to say it.
Oh.
But yeah.
Oh, I thought you were...
No, I wasn't trying to jog your memory. But yeah, that's a pretty common thing, that it's rough on the hands. So last night, I was sitting here rereading the book Swedish Carving Techniques by Willie Sundquist, which is a great book. We have an old copy. It's back in print. If you're interested in working with a knife to carve, you should get it. But in the introduction, he's talking about training dexterity. So this is a quote from the book, and I'm reading here. Many young people don't get enough practice using their hands, and thus don't strengthen them or achieve much dexterity. If you look closely when they work with their hands, you will see that they lack strength, which is a prerequisite for doing good handwork. Logical, practical, and creative thinking would be of little use if we could not perform the tasks generated by that thinking. It is the hands' skill, coordinated with thought, that has advanced our technical culture to where it is today. And then he goes on to talk a little bit more about how, back in the day, around the homestead, children would be using their hands a lot and would develop that dexterity and strength. But, what we're faced with if someone's been an office worker for a number of years is that they're lacking that dexterity and strength with the hands. And that becomes evident, because we're using a knife every day here. We're swinging an axe every day. And it becomes very challenging to take, imagine it from like a workout perspective. Imagine you've never ran in your life and all of a sudden you're training for a marathon every day. It's a tough transition. It's just hard on the body.
Yeah, and it especially early on in the course, people are, they're uncomfortable as they start to learn their sleep systems and stuff here. So maybe your sleeps aren't great, and so you're not getting the recharge and anything like that, and you just don't have the time to catch up. It's a tough thing for people.
Yeah, and add to that, you're cooking every meal over a fire, and if you haven't done that, that's a bit of an adjustment as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, if people can come up here with one thing, it's find something to do with your hands before you get up here, just to kind of work them a little bit.
That'd be a good thing. But what if they brought a gallon of ice cream too? If they brought one thing,
they'd be ready for the ice cream challenge. That's for sure.
I think that would be good. Because I'm always happy to have a lot of ice cream stockpiled here, especially in the winter. So we've talked about how it's hard on the body. It's hard on the mind.
Yeah.
It's a challenging thing. It's especially challenging, say, because many people haven't been away from loved ones at home for any length of time, and it's hard. It's lonely. It's a lot of nights in a tent by yourself, missing the kids, missing the family. And that's not easy. We had a man this past semester who, young kid at home, really missed the family. And the second we were done yesterday and all cleaned up, he said, I'm taking off. I'm heading home.
Driving all night.
And, that's a challenging thing as well. I think the romanticizing of being on your own in the forest is one side of the coin, and the other is kind of laying there at night before you drift off to sleep, missing the people who are important to you.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge. And, one way that some people massage that challenge that we don't recommend is to, spend a lot of time on the phone, spend a lot of time looking at pictures, and not recommended. Never seems to help.
Yeah.
We're highly recommend that when you're here, be here.
Yep.
That was a phrase that I don't know who coined that a couple years ago.
Our friend, well, am I supposed to say his name this time?
I don't know.
It was our former student friend, John Anderson.
Oh, yeah. When you're here, be here, which is great because, the idea of modern people always, no matter where you are, there's somebody doing something cooler. And so you keep up with that person by looking at your phone nonstop. And that's usually not very helpful and also can be a big negative because you miss what's going on around you all the time.
Yeah, it's a really, really tough thing to work with, especially as you start to, we go into places where there isn't cell service and then you're kind of just alone with your thoughts. And it's, if you're not really prepared for that, it's just like you were saying with the, we don't need people to come up here being like bodybuilders or triathletes or anything, but we also don't need people to come up here as like master Zen monks. But you do need to have some sort of like management of your own thoughts and kind of you control them rather than the reverse, because it's 9 weeks of being up here with a bunch of strangers who eventually become your family. But it's a tough thing, if you're going to prepare for this course, I would recommend something like that. Take 20 minutes a day, put your phone in a drawer, and just kind of enjoy your own thoughts for a little while, because there's going to be a lot of that up here.
Yeah, maybe a meditation practice is a good thing, or something along those lines.
Or just start reading more, something along that line,
Yeah, some non-electronic forms of entertainment. There's a lot of reading that goes on during the course as part of the journeyman background research and studies. That's a good thing to do. So mental toughness is a key component of people who succeed here. We just got back from solos. We always end the long courses with a solo, couple of nights and days out in the woods by yourself, usually on a remote lake or river or something like that. And that's a really hard thing for people. And it seems to be, as we're into decade 3 of doing this, it seems like it's getting harder for people because everybody these days is constantly tuned in, constantly online with everything that's going on around them. And we always choose a spot with no cell phone coverage to do solos so that can't be a distraction. But as we start to work with generations who were raised where they were constantly in touch with everybody they know, that bit about being cut off seems to really wear on people more so than it did, say, 10 or 20 years ago. And having, being able to pull that off, being able to be okay with yourself for an extended period of time in a remote location is, sort of a prerequisite, I would think, for working in this industry.
100%. And I think we kind of wrote it down right before we started, but there's something up here to get everyone. And what we mean by that is what the people that I see often struggle the most with the mental part of it is the people that are so physical and so like not busy, but they're really good at having jobs to do. And then as soon as they're out on the solos with nothing to do, that's when, and I say nothing to do, they have plenty of projects and stuff to work on, but as soon as there's like not a task to be completed, that's when their thoughts kind of sneak up on them. And it's a super interesting thing to me, that ability to be alone with yourself. And it's a learned skill, and some people just don't want to learn it, or
just haven't been exposed to it by this point in their life.
Which not many people have. Like the idea of sitting on a remote lake with no cell coverage by yourself for 3 days. I don't know a lot of people that have gone out of their ways to do that alone, anyway.
Yeah. I remember my very first solo, not on a course, just sort of decided to go and do it. And yeah, it's a great it's a great opportunity to learn stuff about yourself.
Yeah.
And kind of one of the big slogans, I guess would be a way to call it. One of the big slogans that we have here is to know thyself. And that's, that's self-knowledge. It's one of the big 7 elements of the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School, programs of those are skill, journey, craft, nature, culture, sustainability, and self. And to know yourself on a really deep and visceral level is one of the things that we set out to do. It's a stated goal. And one of the ways that we achieve that, from a practical perspective, is to learn all the parameters in which your body can function in the natural world, like how big of a bed, how soft of a bed, how much water do you need to drink a day, how much food, all those things. But also, to really know yourself is to be alone with yourself without a lot of distractions. And that's where the solo comes in. And I think that the people, at the end of the solo process, at the end of the course, often have a much greater appreciation. Is that the word I'm looking for themselves? Or just amount
understanding.
Okay. Understanding.
Yeah.
And self-knowledge.
Because, I don't want this to play out as like, if you go on a solo and you should be able to stay out there indefinitely. There's something to knowing like how long you can go without talking to another person. It's the same as knowing, I don't know, how well you can work with little sleep and all that kind of, it's another just kind of thing that you can, when in that experience, say, okay, two nights was enough for me. After that, I get a little cagey, and then you can start growing from there. There's something to that, I think.
Yeah, what did Sam Larson do on Alone? Like 90-something days.
Yeah,
that was a challenging solo.
Yeah, exactly. That's like something like that is that doesn't. You don't get to that point of being able to do 90 days alone by just jumping in and hoping. You do it by doing it a lot, and seeing how it grows and building habits for dealing with being alone. And it's a tough thing. There's
a trend there. Like, you don't jump right off of the couch and run a marathon.
No.
You build up to it. You don't jump right into, like, using your hands to carve stuff every single day without easing into it, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get those repetitive stress injuries, and maybe there's a mental repetitive stress injury that I don't know what it would be, but something to the idea that, hey, you've never experienced this. You jump in with 2 feet to try to do some reality TV show where you're lost on some island for, 6 months. And maybe if you've never spent time alone or 2 nights in the woods by yourself, maybe that's not a good idea, kind of easing into
something
it.
like that could be like, that's super traumatic. That's not anything we recommend at all.
No.
Yeah,
but it's sort of with Christopher's thing there's sort of something to get everyone.
Yeah.
If you're that mentally zen person, then maybe the physical stuff will get you. And if you're the physical workhorse, you work with your hands every day, maybe some of the mental stuff and being alone will get you. But
the academic stuff too is a thing that people come up and are sort of surprised by having to do, and it's gotten people in the past. Like, I am not, my brain doesn't work that way. I can't do it.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yep.
There's plenty of hard things for everybody.
We're really selling this program.
Yeah. We're basically saying if you're averse to hardship and if you're averse to hard work, please find somewhere else to go.
Yeah.
This is not for you.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to, and we've said it a bunch, but this is a hard course to complete. And you will be much better off. You'll have a much better chance of completing it and getting the journeyman if you come up here sort of well-rounded at all those things, rather than being really good at one of them, I think.
Yeah. So, but semester 49, I mean, essentially I've got to take all the trash to the dump tonight, and then we big handshake and send people on their way.
Yeah.
And this is your 5th year?
Yeah.
5th year here?
Yeah, 5 years now.
Seem like
coming
100
up on
yet?
5. It seemed like 100 the day you told me you wanted to come up here.
Feel like you're trapped in a gulag and can't get out?
I thought this was called the Guide Shack.
Yeah.
No, it's every semester I learn something else, and this one hasn't been any different.
It's a good learning.
Lots of learning going
on. I'm learning.
Uh,
So big news around here. Some of you people out there in podcast land, especially the ones that I know personally, know that the Smith family have been interested in relocating from Tim's childhood home in Wolfboro, New Hampshire. We've got that up for sale. We've got a buyer. We've got a line on a house here in Masardis directly adjacent to the field school. So that could dramatically change the way that we run courses up here. I just, having lived off the grid now, this is year 12, I think. The thought of not living out of a cooler for 7 months of the year, of maybe having like a chest freezer a few miles away, that thought doesn't suck, right? I love the off-grid lifestyle, but there's certain aspects of trying to run a business off the grid that I wouldn't be happy to see them go away. We sort of create a bunch of media in the wintertime when there's Wi-Fi and electricity. And then we come out here and we still manage to pull off podcasts.
Yeah, but we drop off the map for a lot of the other stuff while we're up here.
Yeah, so it could be a really boon to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School business if we have a little local office. And it looks like that's likely going to take place. Hopefully by the end of the summer it'll be all wrapped up. I won't make any big predictions or anything until it's all said and done. Because, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, but once it happens, you'll know. What else? What else is going on?
Well, I think it's worth everyone seeing a little bit into your head with that, is that Tim's not going to make any predictions on air, but we have a lot of ideas for what to do if that goes through. And every time I've come up here, there's been like red string connecting maps together. He's just been up here scheming. So lots of cool things to come if that goes through. We're excited about it.
We're very excited about it. And semester long-term program number 50 is coming in August.
Yeah.
Like, who knew back when we started doing this that we'd do 50 of them? And
that's crazy.
It's a nice round number. It's a big number. I'm sort of intimidated by it.
We should just be done after 50.
Yeah. I don't know what, I'm not really qualified to do anything else.
Get to 100? Oh.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Who knows? But kind of exciting, 50 of those. When we started doing this, it was, kind of an off-the-wall, out-there idea, and now, with 50 of them, or 49 of them behind us, maybe not so off-the-wall. It's always interesting, too, to take a look around on the internet and see all the different kind of long-term bushcraft or primitive skills or outdoor programs that are out there now, and, pretty neat. Pretty interesting to see that idea kind of be embraced by other people and watch it grow.
Yeah.
And not trying to make the claim that, I invented it or anything like that, but just, I think it was an idea whose time had come, and it's interesting to see it kind of blossom like a flower.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun to be up here. I don't know what I'm talking
Christopher
about.
hasn't had coffee.
I haven't had coffee yet today, and it's very apparent. I'm sorry.
It's very hot and very muggy.
I don't do well in the heat.
We're going to get a cold front today, so we're excited about that.
He's been saying that for like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this summer coming up, Tim's got a couple courses running. I don't have anything. I'm just going to sit in a pond and be hypothermic.
That's
my plan.
Sounds awesome right now.
I got a lot of homesteady stuff to do this summer, but no courses running for School of the Forest with the COVID stuff going on.
Yeah.
What do you have going on?
Well, we've got the Summer Woodsman, the Advanced Boreal Forest Summer Survival, and then the Riverman on the Allagash, which I'm a little nervous about because
there was no water.
There's no water in northern Maine right now, so we need some significant rain events to take place for us to pull off a trip on any river nearby here now. So we're hoping to get that rain. We've got, what do we have? We've got 4 weeks before the beginning of that. So hopefully we'll get some rain, and if not, we'll come up with some sort of a plan B. It's been super challenging with the COVID, back and forth with people from out of state, wondering what the rules are, and, the powers that be sort of keep moving the goalposts on the rules, which just make it really difficult to plan as a business.
Yeah.
And that's been challenging. I understand what they're trying to do is to slow the spread of this pandemic, but it's also, when the rules are different almost week to week, it makes it just challenging to plan. So, I know everybody's doing the best they can, and I applaud them for that, but...
I don't envy those decisions.
I don't envy those decisions at all. Like, So happy I'm.
I would have to drink so much coffee to be able to make those decisions.
I would probably have a monkey and a dartboard, and the monkey would throw the
Red
darts.
string?
Yeah, and wherever the dart landed, that's the new plan.
Those would just land in the trash can.
Yeah, well, I don't know what would happen then. But then, if it did come back where everybody was really upset, I'd be like, hey, don't blame me.
Blame the monkey on my back.
The monkey threw the dart,
The monkey
not
threw
me.
the dart.
I didn't throw the
My
dart.
hands are clean.
Exactly. So, yeah, we've got that coming up.
Yeah, other big news. We've been, if you guys have been paying attention, you've seen we've been doing a lot of work up at our lovingly referred to as Moose Vegas, our place where our students camp out. We had the field flattened, and Tim planted a bunch of clover and grass.
And then the drought
And
hit.
then it didn't rain for a month, so we just go up and look at the stunted clover. But we were up there yesterday. It was so much nicer than when it was just... I didn't trip once, which is a huge deal for us, because I spent the last 3 years, or 2 years, falling over every uncut stump in that field.
Yeah, bloody shins.
So many
I haven't had bloody
bloody
shins since they stumped it.
Yeah. Now I just got a bloody head, because the deer flies love that spot now.
Yeah,
But
we'll get rid of them with fire.
and a monkey with a dart.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got other big plans coming up for that this summer. We're gonna turn that into what do we start referring to this place as? The
Area 52.
Area 52 is the name, but we started referring to the field school as
a bushcraft theme park.
Bushcraft Theme Park. Yeah, just and I don't really know what that means. Tim just says it a lot, and it makes me excited.
Well, we're just going to have lots of cool bushcrafty
Yeah.
stuff that's, just have things set up ready to go all the time. Examples of different deadfall traps, examples of shelters, examples of crafts. So when people come visit, even if they're only here for a short period of time, they get to see all the stuff that we do on the long programs. And,
Yeah, it'll be
step
great.
right into that functioning system.
And we're gonna set up a giant gate at the front with those big like Jurassic Park style letters
Yeah.
that say Jack Mountain.
Right.
They'll open, and then you can always be like, "Welcome to Bushcraft Park."
Near a giant stone obelisk,
And they're just
which is next to a giant wood obelisk. What's an obelisk?
an obelisk is a giant. I think it's supposed to be a square tower, usually with something carved onto it. Or if you're like me, it's a barber pole fir tree with a bunch of bones stuck to it.
Okay, so maybe we won't have giant obelisks.
Well, I think we should. I think we should let people know what we're about right from the
I think
get-go.
moderately sized obelisks.
Moderately sized obelisks.
let's
Miniature obelisks.
Yeah,
They're
let's-
just rocks.
let's not set the expectations too high.
Yeah.
So on that note, I think we'll wrap this up because we're both a little bit punchy and we still have a ton of stuff to do today. But we just wanted to touch base once while everything was still fresh in our brains about the semester, and we wanted to talk about how hard it is to
Yeah,
pull off and be
it's a tough
successful
thing.
with the journeyman. So if you're coming to a future course, if you're coming to the fall semester, start working with your hands. Do things with your hands. Do things that make them sore. Do things to where they get sore, almost to the point of hurting, and then stop. And then do a little bit more with it the next day and the next day. So then by the time you matriculate here, your hands are sort of ready to undertake the many challenges that await them.
Yeah, and the good place to start with that is shorter courses. Are the summer courses full?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think everything's full.
Yeah, I've had three more. I have 3 signups for that program that's going to start in the fall. That'll be the Freeless Leaf Forest program down in Vermont. So if people are interested with that, get in touch. And I think we've still got spots on the fall semester, right?
We might have one.
Yeah.
But definitely lots of interest. Lots of people are emailing, wondering if we're
Yeah.
running programs because of the COVID. And we are.
Yep.
Because we really have nothing better to do. And, from a social distancing perspective, if you're up here in the woods of Aroostook County, Maine, there's nobody around. Town is super, super small. We're up here. You're camped in your own tent. We rarely get closer than 8 feet to other people,
I think
let
the
alone
closest
6.
we ever get is when we're recording this podcast.
I think he's right. And I'm very unnerved by it.
Yeah, and not just physically, spiritually.
What?
I don't know. I really need to drink some coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably.
That's probably a good place to wrap it up. People out in podcast land are thinking these two knuckleheads have finally lost
Not these
it.
two, just the one.
Finally
Just the
lost
one.
it. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, you know the drill. Help us spread the word a bit. And thank you for spending this time with us on this lovely Thursday morning. So hope you guys have a great day. Hope everybody out there is healthy and safe, and your loved ones are healthy and safe, and then that continues to be the case. Have a good one.
You have been listening to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast. For more information on our professional wilderness guide training programs that are college accredited and GI Bill approved, visit us on the web at jackmtn.com.